Hello, Steve Giordano here from Photo Finale. Thank you guys for joining me. Looks like we have about half of the registered attendees and more coming in now. So I'm going to give it a minute before we get started. I'm going to put us on mute and then start in just about 1 minute. Thank you. Well, I guess for people just joining, you didn't hear my first message. So we are just waiting a couple minutes for a couple more people to join us. And we know everybody gets that Outlook reminder, and then they got to click, and then they're going to download something. So it takes a second. So we're going to wait just a minute. If I had a good joke, I'd tell you to try to keep things going. But otherwise, we're just going to sit here and wait 1 minute and then get going. Thank you. All right, well, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. First of all, I'd like to thank you guys all for joining us for our first webinar of 2021. We're looking forward to a new year and kicking things off right with a new product, our new PF Kiosk, which replaces the legacy APM kiosk, which existed for quite a few years, almost 15 years of runtime for that application. So we all made a lot of money with APM, and we know we loved a lot of the features, and we were frustrated by some growth that didn't happen in it. And then we have this new product, which is going to go through a whole new life cycle of us loving it and being frustrated with things. But overall, the design of this is to make us more money over time, reduce labor costs, and basically just make life a little easier for all of us, and hopefully a lot more profitable. So before we get started on the kiosk itself, I wanted to talk a little bit about where the vision for this kiosk came. And we kind of telescoped this for the last 2 years. We didn't really have trade shows in 2020, which is regretful. But we did, in 2019, we gave presentations to most of the buying groups and most of our key clients who are on the phone here about our vision for the future. And that was really where we thought retail was going. And PF Kiosk really is a reflection of that vision we laid out in 2019. So you're going to remember some of these screens I'm going to show you, and I'm going to breeze through them quickly to get right to the product. But basically the idea is that brands that see mobile as a second screen are going to risk losing the relevance with their connected customers. That's the fundamental vision of the system. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. So what we said in 2019 is retail will change more in the next 5 years than the last 50. The fundamentals of what a store is and its purpose are in flux, and this is what we thought. Change is not just driven by economic product or industry or trends, but by the consumers and really what's going on. And 2020 has been really a reflection of that. Things like DoorDash and Uber Eats have revolutionized the way consumers interact with our economy. Tomorrow's store is being shaped by the behaviors and needs and demands of shoppers. So no longer are you just a store with inventory, you are an experience for customers to visit. And their behaviors will represent a collective norm. So as things shifting, as customers get used to using Uber Eats and DoorDash, using QR codes and for menus and checking out via mobile devices to avoid contact, those things are being reflected everywhere in retail. And Fitch described Gen Z, or our newest customers that are coming up, as a shopping in a constant state of partial attention. So we have to take that into mind as we're implementing brand value. We're looking at technology. It's got to reflect how customers are seeing our system. We said in 2018-19, we said success of retail in 2020 will only be achieved by embracing the somewhat challenging idea. Your brand must be seamless. The idea that there's a difference between your web and your mobile and your kiosk is not something that's acceptable anymore. It needs to be seamless because millennials and Gen Z just don't understand the difference between clicks and bricks. They think they're the same. They're approaching your brand, not where your brand is. And as we know, they are insanely demanding. The same-day home delivery, no matter who ends up delivering, is something that we said in 2019 has to be a focus of the future. And as we see here in 2021, it is the future. You know, back in the day, we're in 2019, we were talking about Amazon delivery with drones, Postmates and Apple expand same-day delivery to its store, what FedEx was doing with Uber delivery fails, but Starbucks started delivering. Could you imagine that in 2019, we were talking about Starbucks delivering, and in 2021, all of us have probably ordered a coffee delivered to our house by Uber Eats. It's something that we forecasted, and this is where our kiosk is going. 90% of consumers move between devices to accomplish their goals these days. They move between their phone and their computer at work and their computer at home and your in-store kiosk operation. They move seamlessly, and they don't need any changes or differentials. They need to approach your brand, not your device. Concepts like mobile payment, texting, these things are the future of the business. And retailers whether retail bridges a chasm between these customers is whether we're going to be successful. So can you migrate your ideas and how you approach your brand with your customers so that you see the customer not where they are with you, but as your brand? Okay. And whether we can translate from being just a store to OOS, or what's out of store services. Okay. So let's get to the kiosk. So all that being said, that was our vision in 2019 and 2018. And I think we were pretty spot on with where the market was going. So what we had to do is come up with a kiosk that reflected that value. What were we going to change? What were we going to implement? The first thing we knew is that retailers do not have a lot of time or labor to dedicate to managing kiosks. They need to be able to manage it centrally, so that they can make a price change and have it reflected in their 4 kiosks, their 50 kiosks, their 500 kiosks. The second thing we know is they need to be able to change the graphics on a regular basis. They need to be able to use the kiosks as digital signage. So we designed it that way. So this is the kiosk as you're looking at it now. These panels that are showing up, as you guys have probably already noticed, you can configure in MyLab. As simply as going to MyLab and adding a JPEG there, and it'll be reflected in your kiosk the next time the kiosk reboots. This way you can update things in real time. You don't have to be in your store. You don't have to be in the lab. You can actually be at home. You could be working from home, and you can modify everything. That also includes pricing. If you want to update pricing for kiosks and you happen to have to be home because of maybe there's a COVID restriction in your area, or you're just off on Fridays, you can go ahead and do all of that now centrally in MyLab. So the kiosk will inherit all its personality from its central system, which is a huge efficiency for your brands over time. Okay. Let's talk about the kiosk as it says. As soon as you hit Shop as Guest, you'll notice that that's a prominent decision that the customer makes from now on. We believe in the concept of membership at Photo Finale, and I think if you look at most retailers across the spectrum that you deal with in your personal life, membership is the value that every store puts on you. You go there, they try to get you to join so they can promote to you, they can advertise to you, and that you can overall see some value. Kohl's is the best example of this, who really promotes membership as a part of their brand value. You should be promoting membership as part of their brand value, because you're delivering more than just discounts, which is of course part of membership, but what you're delivering is project savings, relevant history, all the memories that the customer has over time. So Shop as Guest or Shop as Membership is fundamental now to the new kiosk. The other thing that we have is we wanted to make mobile devices prominent on the screen from the first. And mobile devices are really right now about 70% of all transactions that occur at Photo Finale kiosks. We see that growing. We see it growing to really just be almost every order will be coming from mobile in the future. Because even if they have cameras, nowadays the cameras are synced to their phones, so their good images are on their phone. So a lot of times, if you're a camera store and you have a great Nikon that you sold to people, they're storing their high res and their good photos in their phone, and they're coming in and they can order directly from that device. Okay. So let's take a look at the kiosk and how it operates. The first thing you'll notice as soon as you come in, and I'm going to operate what's called demo mode. Let me back up real quick. By double clicking at the right hand side of the kiosk in the hidden window, a demo word will come up. If you do that, you can have a test directory of images that will show up, so you can demo the kiosk to either personnel or to customers. So that's a nice new feature of the system. So you can just double click right there on the top right, and then you can do a demo. So I'm going to go double click in demo mode to load my images. And I'm going to load from my memory card, and I'll simply hit continue. And the first thing you'll notice about our system is the speed. This system is much faster than the old kiosk, significantly faster. In the old kiosk, you'd load these images. These are 115 images. This is each image is probably about 2 to 3 megabytes. These images are loaded very quickly. I loaded 132 images in no time at all on the kiosk, and I can scroll through and order immediately. That's a much faster system. So the idea behind this was that the consumer gets frustrated with wasting time waiting for things. They don't understand why loading has to occur at all times. They don't want to select the photos. They just want to put their memory card in, at this case, hit go, and have it load the images instantaneously. And you notice there, it did load instantaneously. So I'm going to show you guys that again, just so we can get an idea of it. Okay. Once we close the kiosk, it cleans up. We're going to go ahead and shop as guest, load a media card. Oh, I didn't hit demo. Load a media card, hit continue, and then boom, it loads the images that fast. 152 images into the ordering interface, and you go. So speed is really the key in loading and starting the customer in down the path. The next thing that you want to look at is that the kiosk now is integrated with your entire promotional system. So as I'm going through and purchasing, notice it's showing a strikeout right there over the 29 cents, and it's showing the product price in red. It's showing my discounts in the kiosks that are live. So as you're running promotions, you have a Valentine's Day promotion, you have a Father's Day promotion, whatever it is, the price will show discounted right in the kiosk and let the customer know what's available at what pricing. And this is true for all products. So if we go into wall decor and I look at promotions, I don't have anything in promotion for wall decor, but I probably have promotions somewhere else. Doesn't look like I do. I probably should have configured some promotions. But you get the idea. You can go in and you can see your promotions right in real time. The other advantage of this is that your cart from the kiosk, as it prints the receipt, will exactly match what would happen on a phone and exactly match what would happen on the web. So your point of sale system is much easier to manage. You're not having to figure out discounts at point of sale. The price is the price. Tax is all calculated, shipping and handling and promotion, that's all calculated. All you have to do is enter it into your point of sale or have it connect to your point of sale however you want. Or however, if you have a point of sale that we work with. So that's the first thing. The next thing is you can take these images and you can edit these images in Imagery. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Imagery. Well, we now have a full editor built into the photo kiosk, better than we've ever had in the past. Now, in the past, we had some functionality like cropping. We had functionality like add text, border, and we had functionality like red eye removal, and then simple color adjustments. But now, what you can go in and do, boy, my wife would kill me if she saw I was using this photo. You can go in and you can adjust all this kind of information here. You can add text. You can add designs and different symbols. So you can do styled text. You can go in and you can do stickers. You can add a brush stroke. You can do all sorts of things. The editor is very powerful and allows you to do lots of things. I'm going to exit without saving just for demo purposes. So essentially you can go in and you can edit each photo in a more robust manner than we ever had before. And that's a new feature of PF Kiosk as well. As customers go through, they can rotate, they can delete. Of course, they can change the thumb size. This is one thing that was really hard to do on the old kiosk was really how to take advantage of these big screens we can get. Some of you guys have 27-inch screens, some of you guys have bigger. Nowadays, you can take a look at the whole image, and customers can see a lot more detail than they had before. And of course, they can go in and do the same thing in single image view, just like the old kiosk. You can order in single image view, you can order in group view, either way. Okay, simple as that. You can sort your photos if you wanted to. And at any point in time, once you upload it, you can go in and choose a creative product. So let's go in and take a look at that. So on the kiosk, I'm now mixing a print order, and I may not have designs for that. So I'm going to start a card. I'm going to do an 8x4 card. I'll just do the basic brown to be quick. But now I've got a kiosk where I'm generated prints. I'm creating something creative, right, and a nice little session. Okay. And it's going to prepare the project and upload it. Now that's an interesting dialogue I have not seen before. So one of the fun things about Photo Finale is we release things and we will fix them quickly. So we do have looks like we have a little bit of issue there, and I'll have to find out what that is. We'll go through from there. So shopping as guests, shopping as promotion. The other thing that can happen is when you log into the system, you can use your prepaid plans, which was something that was never available before. So now if the customer had purchased prepaid plans, all those credits are available at the kiosks at the same time. Okay, so really the benefits of the new kiosk roll into speed when you first load this kiosk. The benefits are the integration with promotions and backends, and integrations with your prepaid plans. So once the customer is done ordering through the system, let's go ahead and order some products. We simply hit continue. They have the cropping screen, which is similar to what we had in the old kiosk, although now you have the added advantage of being able to really look at that and crop very tight if you'd like to. Okay. They can, when the customer is done, they simply go next. Now you see your promotions. They can do all their upgrades if they have attributes. That was another feature that's available now in the kiosk that was not available previously, which is all attributes for products available on the web and mobile device are available now in the kiosk as well. And then once you're done, you check out, and then it'll follow the rules like your website does. And then we're going to go ahead and pay in store. Number lock is not on. So on. I hit continue. Oops. Really wants me to be accurate. And then we can check out and place the order. Now, what's really good about this at the end of the order is it has a text box, like the website does. So it'll text the user when the order is ready to pick up. So if you're doing something that you want to get done in an hour for the customer, it'll text them to come back to your shop. If it's something that's done the next day, it'll text them when it comes back to the shop. So text is a big part of this. What you're going to see in a subsequent version of this kiosk is coming up shortly in about, I wouldn't want to say timeline, but soon, you'll have texting from every point of the kiosk. So as the customer is placing the order, it'll text them, thank you for your order. It'll be similar to a receipt. It'll text them that your order is in printing and your order is in process and your order is completed. We really believe that the future of communication with the customers is text, and as such, we're starting to build much bigger text engine around our system. So I'm going to go ahead and do an upload to kiosk. Let me see if I can load my Mira 360. Now, I don't know if this will work while I'm on the phone itself. I've never done that. But essentially with mobile devices, it's integrated with the new QR code or texting. Unfortunately on this, I did not think it through. I cannot demo and talk on the phone at the same time. So I'll have to do a subsequent demo of the mobile device if you haven't tried it already. But essentially the customer no longer needs to plug in the keyboard for mobile device. or type in a code or join a website or do anything like that or change their web address. All they do is they simply shoot the QR code with their camera, which is built into Android and Mac OS, or it looks like somebody's doing that for me, and then it'll transfer the images as you select them. Now, if they don't know how to use a QR code, which some people may not, I'll say my mother probably does not know how to use a QR code, she'll use what's called a text messaging link if you have the user enhancement bundle. Now in text, it'll just send a text to her, she clicks on the text, and then it'll go from there. So to the mobile integration is, well, I think it is the best in class right now for the industry and the simplest system out there. It does not require you to be on the network. It can be all outside of the network of the store, or you can provide Wi-Fi if you're in a zone where maybe LTE or 5G is not available. Okay, I don't know who did the link establishment, but somebody did, but they decided not to upload photos. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. And that's what's going on with the kiosk. Let's take a look real quick with what's going on in my lab now. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so now with the new kiosk, you have My Lab. You simply come here to Store Management, if you're not familiar with My Lab, and you click on PF Kiosk. This is where you're going to control your kiosks for your store. In this interface, you have the first tab, which is your licenses. If you have not activated your kiosk yet, this is how you activate them. Essentially, after you install the software, you type in your dealer ID and then one of your kiosk IDs from your license, and then it'll activate them. It'll only allow you to activate once per license, but you don't need any codes or anything. It'll just link right to it once you do that. One of the things you can do in here also, which you will need to do if you're a multi-store environment, is choose what store each kiosk is in. Now, this is important if you have multiple stores, to tell the kiosk which Lab 50 to be printing to. So if you haven't set this for kiosks, please do so. The advantage of doing this also will be on reporting. You'll be able to tell which kiosks are doing how much volume, and you'll be able to tell very easily in granularity what stores are successful, what kiosks within the store is successful. Very good for reporting. So make sure you set the store right there at the licensing. Okay, you go to settings, and this is how you set up the kiosk. The first thing you would do, it's set for default at first, and default means all your kiosks will have these settings. If you select the individual kiosk, you can override the default settings. Okay, so what default does is it chooses what drives letter it's going to look for local files. You're going to choose what your prepay requirements are. You're going to offer in-store pickup only. So this is important if you want your kiosk to not have shipping. Some people aren't comfortable with their kiosk doing shipping, so you would check that box. Now, the other thing that's interesting about this, the store pickup page is below that. Because the system is now a cloud-connected system, and because you may have multiple stores, if you don't select skip the store pickup page, your kiosk will be able to print to any Lab 50 in your network. So if you have 3 stores and you'd like your kiosk to be able to print to either store for convenience for your customers, all you do is you simply leave that unchecked. And now the customer can choose to come to store A, but pick up in store B. Promotions page, you can skip the promotions page if you like. I don't recommend that. I think the whole point of promotions is to drive incentives to the customer. But some people don't like to offer coupons or promotion in store. They only like to offer them online, so that can be checked. Turn on whether or not you want a receipt printer, and then what your admin codes are. If you go into banner slides, this is where you can add what your screensaver slides are. It's simple as that. You can then take these and you can drag them out and change the order of them once you want. And you can even go in and change the animation of the images and the start and end date of when that image will arrive. So let's say you want to put them up there. You want a Valentine's slide to show up, but you don't think you're going to remember to get back to Lab 50. You can set a start and end date for when that slide shows up. So you can change the animation of your slideshow. Okay, and advanced configuration, pretty much ignore this right now. You don't want to do anything in this page, but ultimately here's where we're going to be able to do customizations for Photo Finale Enterprise customers to do some really neat things throughout the system. But for right now, this is not something that we're going to pay attention to. The other thing that I'd like to keep in mind is that as orders are placed in kiosks, they are going to now be in my lab as well as Lab 50. And this is a huge advantage and solves a lot of problems for especially smaller stores. Smaller stores, let's say you have a customer who had an issue with an order and your store personnel doesn't know how to handle it. From home or wherever you are, the ownership or manager can log into my lab and see that order exactly. You also never have to go to the kiosk backup folder ever again. You're going to be able to just go in to each order. For example, this is the order I just placed a minute ago, or however long ago. And I can come in and I can see all the information on that order. I can see this and I can actually go in and see the photos themselves. And I can actually download those photos from anywhere. For up to 90 days is how long each kiosk order is going to be available in my lab if it's a guest order. If it's a membership order, the images will be added to their account. But for guest orders, they're going to be able to download those orders up to 90 days for tracking. So if there's ever an issue with cropping, there's an issue with printing, there's an issue with quality, you can just come here, reprint the order directly through Lab 50, or download the individual image to fix whatever the issue may be. Maybe it was a crop on an enlargement or a crop on a metal print that you wanted to change. You can come here and you can get the exact image and do it. Okay, so that's a huge advantage by integrating into your MyLab system. So some of the things that are a struggle right now with the new version of the kiosk, I don't want to gloss over because I understand two things. One, this hurry up and deploy thing was a little bit annoying and caught everybody off guard, and we apologize for that. It was not something that we intended. We did not think, or know rather, that Microsoft would remove Flash with prejudice. We assumed it would be like Windows 7, where it would allow to run for a little bit of time and allow us to catch up and roll people out over from the 12th and on. Microsoft decided that Flash was too much of a risk for some reason and just removed it with prejudice, and that created lots of issues. And Photo Finale should have communicated more, and for that we apologize. The other thing is, it is because it's a brand new system and we're basically deploying it to our entire fleet. You'll be happy to know that we're doing hundreds of thousands of dollars in business a day right now through the new kiosks. They are very functional. There is some issues. One of the issues is that the transfer time from images from the kiosk to Lab 50 right now can be a bit challenged today. And that's basically because we have a little bit of logging and we have a lot of retry logic on the cropping, particularly that we're working on. We expect that to be alleviated, and we're going to remove all those artificial slowdowns probably within a week or so, once we're confident that the system is operating appropriately. That is something that was designed. We know it's a little frustrating for labs who have a customer and they want to get that order out to them within 2 to 3 minutes. It is taking a little bit of time, and that's something that will be alleviated shortly. It is important to remember that the old kiosk was not as instant as we remember, because it had all that loading time up front for the images and the processing time at the end of the order. So this new kiosk has none of that. It's really much faster for the consumer and a little slower for the lab. But ultimately, we expect all orders to take about 3 to 5 minutes once the system is fully deployed and we've removed all that logging. But again, we do apologize for that. The other thing we had to make a decision on early on was to not release the scanner integration and the CD-ROM, DVD, image CD, or USB stick integration. Those features are ready to be deployed, and when version 1.1 releases, all that functionality will be deployed with it. That functionality is in less than a month away from being deployed to everybody. Again, we weren't comfortable having a million moving parts in everybody's lab, and we know that this creates some frustrations, and we apologize for that. But in the long run, it's going to be much better for everybody to have a more stable system with this functionality rolled out just about a month from now. And the last bit that I want to make sure that we cover before I go into Q&A is the instant printing feature. Much like the scanner and the CD, the instant print feature is working if you're connected to a Lab 50 right now. So if you have a Lab 50, you can connect through the Lab 50 and you can provide instant printing, and we can help you configure that. There's no charge for anybody who needs that for a Lab 50 right now, so just call us up and we'll get you going. But I would recommend waiting that month until this version 1.1 comes out, because then we'll have a direct connect to the kiosk that doesn't require the images to go upstream. They will just be a in-store printing solution. They will still go upstream for tracking and management in my lab. However, for local printing, for express printing, it will go directly to the printer and operate locally. So that solution will be ready in a month. If you need instant printing today and you absolutely want to have it, we can deploy it through a Lab 50 deployment. But ultimately, it'll be local for, if you're connected to a DX100 or, a die sub printer of some sort, for example. So that's where we're going. The kiosk, by and large, will be a much more lucrative system for you. We're looking forward to the connectivity of the brand so that we can really start marketing to the customers about the brand and not about where the brand exists. There is another feature that I want to mention, which is the user enhancement bundle. This is something that if you're a Photo Finale enterprise customer or Photo Finale PFSR customer, you've probably been aware about for a while. And that bundle gives you a couple pieces of functionality. The first piece of functionality it gives is the ability to have text messaging from the system to the consumers. This includes for mobile uploads and order completion. Ultimately, it'll be for all statuses. The other thing it includes is a enhanced Google Maps API that's built in for multiple store locations. The third thing it includes is a free upgrade for iPhone app. So if you have our what's called our Pocket Picks app, you'll no longer pay for an upgrade if you're part of the user enhancement bundle. And the last thing it includes is the Imagery editor at the kiosk. Now, when you look at the user enhancement bundle, for smaller stores, it's going to be $15 a month. For larger stores, it could be up to $35 a month, but that is for the whole brand. That is not for per kiosk or separate from web and mobile. It's just the brand, $15. And that's basically because there are fees and charges for text messaging, and we just need to make sure that we can cover that for the customer. We don't want anybody paying for text messaging per se. So with that, I'm going to see if you can open up questions to Rachel and submit them to her via the question section in the app, or you can email her if you have her email address. Okay. Can a user purchase a plan at the kiosk? Yes, these are set up in Lab 50. You need to make sure your website shows them and has a menu item at least. But if somebody wants to purchase prepaid plans at the kiosk, that is something that is fully possible and is a great idea. Purchase plans are a very successful feature for a lot of labs. The next question is, what happens if someone comes in with a USB stick and has, hold on, my window's covering it. So there's a USB stick and has 10,000 images on it. Can they go and load a folder with only the ones they want? Currently, you cannot pick a folder. This is similar to how the old kiosk worked. The old kiosk did the same thing. It would load the whole thing. And then you could filter out what images you could see, but essentially it always loaded the whole thing. But if somebody has 10,000 images, it's going to try to load all 10,000 images. I'm not sure how 10,000 images will work. We regularly have orders of 2,000 and 3,000 images. 10,000 seems a bit much to me. But as long as you have RAM in the computer and you want to handle these big files, that's the big go-go, the big thing you need to make sure you have. If you want to handle large orders, that's a large amount of data. You probably need at least 16 gigabytes of RAM, maybe more. Okay. What customers? Okay, so what do a customer do if they don't have a data plan for text and they don't have QR codes? Well, I would say that's probably a pretty big corner case. However, when that occurs, it could occur overseas mostly, so this might be a customer from overseas. Both in the App Store and the Google Play Store, there are available free QR code apps. I would familiarize yourself with one in your native language, and then I would make sure that you know how to help them download the QR code app. That will work very effectively. Yeah, the system does require a certain amount of connectivity for mobile devices beyond, it needs to at least, not if it doesn't have a data plan, it needs to be able to read QR codes at least. There is another option that we're going to have available for users, which is there will be a URL for the QR code underneath the QR code link. It'll be a long and won't be a very attractive URL, but if the customer wants to type that in, they actually will be able to type in that URL. So if you can't download a QR code app and you don't have text messaging, you could still type in that code. Okay, next question is, what is a prepaid plan? Well, a prepaid plan, just for those who haven't used them, is an amazing feature of our system that's been around for a long time and allows you to let customers purchase a number of a product at a discount. For example, you can sell 1,000 4x6s at 19 cents a print. And the customer prepays for that entire amount, and it goes into their account. And as they buy 4x6s going forward, it just decrements that amount, and then they get all those 4x6s at that reduced price. And the system manages it for you. You don't have to have cards or punches or do anything in your point of sale. The real advantage of prepaid plans for you guys is you hold the money. So Photo Finale charges no rev share on prepaid plans until they're redeemed. So if you sold $100,000 for prepaid plans tomorrow, you would pay Photo Finale no rev share. Well, at Kiosk, you're not going to pay rev share anyway. So regardless, it's rev share free no matter what. But ultimately, with prepaid plans for the web and mobile, you hold the money, and then it only gets charged rev share on redemption. So prepaid plans are very lucrative. A lot of people do them for 8x10s now for professional photographers. I don't know if you guys have heard. Most of you have. Costco is now really getting out of the business of in-store photography. They have been the #1 printer of photography in the United States for a number of years. There's a lot of photographers out there looking for a print partner that's local and quality. And you got to be a little aggressive on price. So in order to give them an aggressive price, you can sell them a prepaid plan. And then they can decrement that through their account over time. So that's what a prepaid plan is. How does this new software eliminate or reduce the amount of time babysitting clients or walking them through place and order? We can't continue to spend valuable time babysitting a $5 order. And I concur. And what this system does is it's identical to the web, it's identical to the mobile, and it's identical to your kiosk. Once the customer is in the store a few times and has used this, they will be completely proficient with your online and mobile systems. This will allow them to be fully trained, go home and order. So every time the customer comes in from now on, you should say, did you know this is available from home? It looks exactly like this. Let me show you how to do it. Let me create you a membership to store your projects. So the first benefit is that it's going to be able to allow customers to really understand where the future of your brand is going. The second thing it does is it's a much faster integration for mobile devices. there's no codes they have to type for most users. They simply point their camera at the device and the images load in a second. They don't have to make any decisions. They point the camera, the images show up, then they select 4x6s and they're done. It's a very quick, very simple. It's going to be a lot less time on your customers. And lastly, the big thing is that it has a fully integrated web page that's your web page. And you can be as descriptive as you want. And you can allow customers to browse your web page while they're at your kiosk and read up on the difference between metal prints and acrylic prints. So what you should do is you put all your shopping experience, all your ideas, all your questions, all your answers into your web page so that your online users, your mobile users, and your kiosk users can all experience the same thing. Okay. So if somebody doesn't have the edit functionality, so the edit functionality is a portion of what we call the user enhancement bundle. You do need to be a member of the user enhancement bundle. Again, that is $15 a month. It's basically that $15 is covering text fees and Google API registrations, and you get the free upgrades to the iPhone app, and you also get Imagery automatically. All of which Photo Finale does incur, microtransactions for every time any one of those things occur. So if somebody edits 100,000 images in your system, you're not paying $100,000 times the microtransaction. You're just paying the flat $15 per month. Okay. How do I get the glossy or matte option? That's very simple. Request if you just email our support team. That can be turned on in Lab 50. Now everything is done in Lab 50 or in MyLab. So the glossy matte option is an option right off the product mix in the product description, and you can hit glossy or matte. Okay. What do you do when you can't enter client info at the end of an order? Not with on-screen keyboard or hard keyboard. Not sure. There should be a touch screen attached, and if you have that, you'll have an on-screen keyboard. If you don't, you should at least have a mouse and keyboard attached, and then there'll need to be some input on the orders, just like the old kiosk. The old kiosk required input as well, so you know which customer is who at the end of an order. So you will need some sort of input at the end of every order. Somebody wants to know if text messaging can be turned off when the order is ready to be picked up. They're not having good results. More than likely, the issue with that is the text message is triggered at the point at which you complete an order, either in MyLab or Lab 50. So what I would probably want to do is look at best practices for how we're completing orders in the store. It is a useful feature. Currently, the last number we have was about 72% of users opted into the text messaging, and it is a very popular feature. And anecdotally, you may have had a few instances, but generally, by and large, consumers are looking for more text messaging and less email. And certainly, it is a great interface for you to talk with the customer and interact with them in a convenient and low-touch way. Somebody's asking where the filter for cards is and the filter by date on the old kiosk. There is currently not a filter feature, but we are looking at putting that back in. There is a sort feature when you're in the kiosk, and you can sort. I should probably just run the kiosk instead of just running my mouth. Let me see here, see if I can get that back up. But there is a sort feature in the thumbnails, and you can hit that button if you'd like. Okay, give me a second. Shop as a guest. Demo mode. I just love how fast it loads images. It's just incredible. So you would just click here, and then they can sort by newest, by name, or by oldest. And that's a nice handy feature. Somebody's asking if there's a way to use the old PF, the upload to kiosk system. No, that system is now going to be retired, and the new system is the EasyLink software. There will be a URL, as we mentioned before, shortly available underneath the QR code, although it won't be a user-friendly URL if they really don't want to use QR code or text. However, these days, if we've been out to restaurants at all, I mean, almost every restaurant now has QR codes for the menus. The customers are very familiar with this. And I think that it's something that's going to be here to stay. Or text messaging. Everybody understands how to look at their text. So they just type in their phone number and they get a text. Okay. So iPads will work the same way. Somebody's asking if iPads will work with the new kiosk. iPads work the same exact way that iPhones do. iPads can access QR codes through the camera, so that works just fine. Or iPads also, most of them have iMessaging turned on, and you can get text messages to the iPhone. So iPads will work just fine with the system, as will Google Pads and different type of tablet devices. They'll all have some sort of camera functionality, and they will all have some sort of messaging integration with iMessage or whatever Google's system is called. So they'll work just fine. But I would say this, if somebody has an iPad, that's a big screen. You could probably just show them how to use the website directly, and they'd have a much better experience. And they'll be your customers when they go home. They don't actually have to come to the store every time. So we have to remember that you have a connected brand now that allows the customer to interact however they are. Can be in the store, can be at home, can be on vacation, can be in the office. All of them should be interacting exactly the same. Somebody's asking, they said their flash drives are not working, but SD and compact flash are. More than likely, it's a drive setting. So if you go into My Lab, that's where we talked about our settings. One of the drive that's your flash drive is coming up on is not configured. There's also a troubleshooting guide on our wiki. So if you guys haven't been to wiki.photofinale.com, that's a great place to go. And the message about this post here, there was a link to the wiki, and you can try that by going there. But more than likely, that's a drive letter configuration issue for your flash drive. Is there an individual size limit? We do get raw images sometimes. The individual size limit right now for user enhancement bundle licensees is 40 megabytes per file. Because this is a web-based solution, raw files are not supported in the kiosk. That is something that browsers do not support raw. Natively, you'd have to have extensions and plugins, and raw files will not be something that's available in the new kiosk. That is a limitation of the new kiosk. Somebody's asking, are the collections created from uploads at the kiosk to be open to Imagery? Yes, however, good question. There is currently a bug with the system, so mobile uploads are not able to edit today. That will be patched very shortly back on our servers. It's not something you need to do an install for. And that is a known issue on our new system, and we apologize for it. But the good news is it'll be repaired very shortly. Can customers use our in-store Wi-Fi? Sure. If you want to give them your Wi-Fi versus using their LTE or their 5G, feel free. I mean, it's going to be much faster if you have a good connection. Although these days, to be honest with you, my 5G connection here in Virginia is faster than most retailers' back-end systems. So it really just depends on the architecture and what you want to do. It's a good benefit for customers who come in a lot and need it. It's also a very good benefit in locations where data plans aren't 100%. So that's another thing to consider. What are the specs for a Windows 10 computer? Well, this is a great question, and on the wiki you can find the specs. But I'll tell you, this software will run 10 times faster on the same machine as our old software. It runs very light. It runs like a browser, essentially. So what are the things you care about with a browser? Two things. One, that the operating system's fast. So you need to make sure you're running on an operating system that's got SSDs if possible. So I always say if you can get a 256 gig SSD on a kiosk, you're winning. Anything bigger than that's better. You don't need more than a terabyte because things are transient. Nothing really stays local anymore. The second thing to really focus on, your browser matters. Your memory matters. So you want to have, I would say, at least 16 gig of RAM. If you wanted to have a blazing fast, no less than 8 gig of RAM on a new system. So if you're going out to buy a system, don't get anything with 4 gigabytes. Give 8. That gives the operating system plenty of room to use, do what it does, and it gives our application plenty of room to do what it does. So I would say 8 to 16 gigabytes of RAM with an SSD drive. Any processor you can find with that configuration will be just fine. It's really not very processor intensive. It's mostly memory and storage intensive. So customers want to upload to kiosk pictures before they arrive at the store. Is that possible? Well, I would say if somebody wants to send pictures before they come to the store, more than likely you should give them the app, Pocket Pics, and let them order before they get to the store so you can have them ready to pick up. If we do not have the upload to kiosk did have the way where you could upload and not be involved in a session with the kiosk, but that led to a lot of issues with timeouts and such like that. So if somebody wants to upload from home and then come into the store and interact, you're better off just getting them right on the iPhone app or on the website and ordering flat out. That's a much better experience for everyone and easier on you labor-wise. We have not been able to get photos to load from a cord to the kiosk. Yes, cabled systems to mobile devices no longer are supported in our system. You don't need it. You just need a QR code or a text message. You can get it much faster than you can out of a cable and with much more compatibility. Also with today's modern systems on iPhones and on Androids, most images aren't even on the phone anyway. Most images are in the cloud. So you can't access those through a cord. So the corded connections to kiosks are a thing of the past and will no longer work. And generally this is by design by the camera and phone people. They're trying to make their devices more secure and have less usefulness plugged into third-party devices. Okay. Our iPhone app still has the upload to kiosk option that gives a code. How do we change that? Good question. Please, if you are subscribed to the user enhancement bundle, you will be upgraded to the version 6 version of our kiosk, which will have the direct interaction with our kiosk. Oh, sorry, the version 6 version of our iPhone app. That will be available to you as soon as it deploys. So if you're registered user enhancement, you could expect that any time now. If you're not part of our user enhancement bundle, either register for that or purchase the iPhone upgrade from the 5.0 version to 6.0 version. The 6.0 version is fully compatible with the new system. We are looking to see if we can disable the upload to kiosk button in the 5.0 version, and we're not quite sure if we can do that for customers that already have the app. Okay. How will the iPhone upload to kiosk work now? Will the iPhone app still try to send a code? No, it all happened through EasyLink, which unfortunately I wasn't able to demo on this program, but I believe we do have a demo of online, and we'll send an email out if we don't for how EasyLink works and exactly how your customers can expect it to work. EasyLink is also available, by the way, on your websites. So consumers at home with desktops can integrate their iPhones into their home projects very easily by using EasyLink on their home computers, which is a real benefit of EasyLink as well. And what is the resolution of the slides? Currently, our default slides or banners are 1920 by 1080. However, you can make them any size you want and basically size them to your screens. If you're running 4K screens, make 4K slides. If you're running slightly less than 1080p, make the slides whatever resolution you want. So basically, you can upload the slides at the resolution of your kiosks. And it'll scale it down if two of the kiosks are different resolutions. It'll take care of that on its own. But to look the best, you want them to all be the same resolution, and then upload them all right there. Okay. For add-on bundles, do they show up as separate lines on the invoice emailed out? Yeah, so for example, if you're a user enhancement bundle member, or you're a shipping bundle member, or if you're part of the DIY studio bundle, the invoice, it will show up in the invoice, not as a line item, but in the message text. So it'll say something like your online revenue was X, user enhancement bundle $15. And then the price. It won't be a separate line item, but it will be on the invoice, yes. Imagery will not work. Somebody's saying Imagery will not work in guest mode, but it does for members. I think that has to do with the bug I mentioned earlier, which has been resolved, and Imagery will work for all clients if you're subscribed to the user enhancement bundle, guest or otherwise. We just have a challenge right now with that feature, and that will be addressed shortly. As far as the text messaging feature, somebody's saying they're having bad results when the product is done before it gets back to their stores. So this is a great question. So if you're using third-party services, let's say Prestige Photo Books or Fuji, when they finish their orders, they send a tag to our system to say, okay, I've received that order, I've printed that order, we shipped that order to the store, or we shipped it to the customer. If it's shipped to store, they are supposed to mark it as shipped to store. In that case, it will not send the text message. If they mark it as shipped to home, it will send a text message. And then when you receive it from them, you would then mark it as complete, which would send the notification. There was a period of time in late middle of the fourth quarter where a few of our wholesalers, and I won't say who, were not sending the right code, and were in fact sending order complete messages to customers, and created some frustration out there, and we know that that was frustrating. We've explained to our wholesalers how important accuracy is in their reporting, and they've all addressed the issue as far as we know, and we'll keep following up. However, if somebody keeps violating that, we will probably discontinue them as a wholesaler. But right now, that was a simple issue from the wholesalers who were sending the wrong status message, and we apologize for that. Somebody's asking if you can remove some of the fields to only have name and email address, like the old kiosk allowed you to do. I'm not confident that that is on the roadmap, but that's something I'll take under advisement, and we'll put it into our request queue, which we'll evaluate over time. So right now, I would say there's not a good answer to you, yes or no, on that, but something we'll look at for sure. How do you easily minimize the kiosk or quit the kiosk is another question. That's easy. It's just like the old kiosk. Control-Shift-M will minimize. Control-Shift-L will kill the kiosk. So Control-Shift-M for minimize. Control-Shift-L to close the kiosk. We've used Upload to Kiosk to retrieve images from the user's phone for images that require special treatment. How do we access these? Well, that's a great question. And essentially, what you're going to do, I'm going to minimize my kiosk, as we just talked about, is you're going to go into My Lab, and you're going to look for that recent order that the customer placed. So, for example, I'm just going to go here to Order Search, and what orders in the last 24 hours. I can then go into their order, and I can look at all their photos, and then I can access the original file. And then you could just save image as, and I can get the full-size image right there. So the way you do it is through My Lab. So that's the real benefit of this new system, is every image through the kiosk is now available at all times throughout the entire lab for 90 days. And nobody better tell my wife we were using these photos. She will kill me. All right. It looks like we're running out of questions. Oh, wait a minute, here we go. Android cameras have not worked regarding QR codes for us, only iPhones. Android need to download a reader. Android phones do not have a built-in QR code. Well, this is true and not true. Android, the great thing about Android is it's a lot more freedom for what you want, devices you want, and OS and how you configure it. Each phone carrier can do what they want with these phones. The bad news is it's not universal, so it's not easy for retailers. All newer Androids have the QR code built in. If it's built on a newer OS platform, it will have the built-in QR coder. If somebody has an old Android device and has not upgraded the operating system, which they don't need to do, they will not have the built-in QR code. In that case, you want to use the text messaging feature that the user enhancement bundle brings, or you want to download a free QR code reader. And I would just familiarize yourself with whichever one's good for your market. If you're in the US, or Canada or France or wherever you are, you want to make sure you find one that's good for your market. But Android does have it built in all modern cameras, but there are cases where Android doesn't have the rigidness that iPhone has. So it's, sometimes they don't have it. There's currently, somebody's asking, is there a limit on how big a media card can be? There really isn't. You're really limited by the memory your computer can handle. So if there's 10,000 images, your computer's going to struggle to open 10,000 images unless it's a beast. So it's really limited to how much space you have. We regularly get customers at 2,000 to 3,000 images. That doesn't seem to be a problem. If you're going really, really big, you kind of want to teach this customer how to use your website and have them order from home where they can filter through their local hard drive. And if they have that many images, more than likely they're a savvy customer and they know what they're doing. So for those customers, the website's a much better solution. But the kiosk does not have an actual limit itself. It's just how much RAM you have in the machine and how much the browser can handle as you're opening images. Somebody's asking, how does the Upload to Kiosk app fit into the ecosystem? Upload to Kiosk app is no longer needed. It will be removed from the Android store. That app is out of date, and now they just use EasyLink. So the good news is, we one less thing to teach customers about. How does the kiosk read heat? Yes, it does. Just like the older system does. It's fully heat compatible, and we're looking to keep increasing that compatibility over time as the newer heat files from Android and Canon and Nikon are coming down the line. We're going to make sure we're compatible at all times with all imaging formats. So they are supported. Ping files are able to be up-layered but have layers. Will this be addressed soon? So we don't currently have a plan to support transparency layers in Ping right now. That doesn't mean we won't, but right now we do not have a plan to support the transparency layers of Ping file formats. But it's a good request, and we'll put it on a list and keep track of it. Oh, okay, so I've upgraded my kiosk, and the old kiosk is still starting. How do I disable the old software? The new installer should have disabled it. You're correct. Our newer installer was kind of, is not finished, and we had to deploy the way we had it. And, upcoming installers will disable everything going forward. Today, the way you would take care of that is you would go into Hardware Attendant and close all the older files. So just close all the Photo Finale applications like EQ Uploader and whatever else is running the kiosk itself. And then you would simply delete the APM directory, or you could rename it if you'd like. But you could delete the APM directory and then reinstall the new kiosk, and then all your program settings will be perfect. If you have trouble with that, contact us at support@Photo Finale, and we'll be happy to help you. And we'll probably put something up on that quiz question answer on our wiki tonight. So if you forget the answer, just check our wiki and we'll have that up there. Is there a limit for customers to select images from their phones when connected to the kiosk? And they had 100. They took 100 images. There is a limit right now. So basically, it's saying somebody went to the kiosk, they clicked on EasyLink, and then they went to select files, and they took too long, and they had a timeout. We are working on that timeout to make sure it's not too long, so that it leaves kiosks disabled, but not too short, so it gives people time. We're going to look for your feedback on that and look for that to keep being massaged. I'm not sure what the exact time amount is right now. I will find out and I'll post that to the wiki, and then we'll keep that under advisement to make sure it's good. What we may have to do is implement some sort of "I'm still here" notification so the kiosk doesn't time out and the link doesn't expire. Speaking of that, my kiosk just expired. Okay. With phones that have been using the method of uploading to the web and getting a code to enter, will this still work? I'm not sure I understood that question. So basically with the old upload to kiosk code, no, upload to kiosk is gone. Everything is now EasyLink, and you'll have to work that way. Could you add a reminder for the customer to take the media to leave? Oh my gosh, I can't believe we don't have that. That's a great idea. So whoever posted that, thank you for reminding us. That's one of the challenges of having a piece of software that's been around as long as the old APM, is it does so many little tiny things that you forget. And you deploy things and the simplest little things get missed. That is a great idea, and look for that in very short order. Yes, thank you. Okay. Somebody's asking, how do I turn on the text messaging option? I only have QR code. Again, that's register for the user enhancement bundle. You can go to our website at photofinale.com/bundles and just click right there to register, and you'll get registered. Or you can contact your sales rep, whomever your sales rep is, or you can email our support team at support@photofinale.com, and they'll send you to the right person. So it literally will be done in minutes from you registering for it, and it's a good idea. So will the kiosk load from the cloud too? So this is a great question, and one of the real advantages of the EasyLink software. So if I'm on my phone, and if you're a normal user, now there are corner cases, but the average user has their iCloud password, or they have their OneDrive password, and they have it logged in through their phone, and possibly they have images in other places as well. All those phones, all those things have little pigtails into your phone OS, so you can access that through opening photos. So if your phone has access to your cloud images, you will be able to use EasyLink to grab images out of your cloud services on your phone. That's one of the advantages of doing everything through mobile, is that you're relying on the consumer to be secure, not necessarily our system to have to type in credentials for everything in our kiosk, which we don't want. We don't want people entering their passwords into our systems, because then you're liable for security. And hackers are a real problem these days, which is why we're going to everything through this EasyLink. It's simple, it's clean, there's no risk for security. So basically, if their phone can access that cloud through browsing of photos, we can upload from it. So that's one of the real advantages of EasyLink. Is there a way to hide the buttons so they don't burn in on the screen? I think what you're talking about, oh, I see. So the shop as guest or sign in buttons. That's something we hadn't considered. I'll have to put that down on the list of things we need to think about. So that's a good question. Thank you. Somebody's asking, this may be new to me, but what are the bundles? The bundles, we have several bundles, and one of the things we try to do with our software as we're growing is we realize that not everybody needs every piece of functionality, and it isn't fair for everybody to have to pay for everybody else's innovation. So if you're not big into editing on the kiosk and you don't necessarily need a 40 megabyte file, there's no need for you to have the user enhancement bundle. So you shouldn't be paying more so that other people could have it. By the same token, if you wanted, we have another bundle. So the user enhancement bundle is the first one, and that has basically things the user needs: editing, larger file size, texting, and then an iPhone app that they can access. And that's what's built into the user enhancement bundle. We have another bundle called the shipping bundle. And some of you don't do any shipping at all, so you don't really need to do this. So why would you pay extra to have this functionality? But the shipping bundle allows you to have address verification built in. So if you do a lot of shipping and you don't have address verification, you're going to have a tough time. So you have to have address verification. You have to have a better, stronger Google Apps API, and you need notifications from shippers of when the progress of the product, and also delivery of the product, just like Amazon does. So our system supports all of that. And so if you have the shipping bundle and you do a lot of shipping, your customers now can log into their account, see a status, and see all the information about that order. But if you don't do shipping, you don't want to pay extra for that. So the shipping bundle is something that's an opt-in. Another bundle that we have is the DIY Studio bundle, which is our partnership with Aaron Manning to bring relevant and interesting content to customers to browse around. We want to make our sites more interesting than just selling. And so we partner with Aaron Manning, and if you subscribe to the DIY Studio bundle, you get access to all of her videos and new tutorials, and she releases one about every month. As a matter of fact, one is coming out, I think, in the next day or two. That'll be for her Valentine's DIY Studio, so look for that. So the bundles are basically ways for us to extend functionality for customers, but not make everybody pay for all that functionality, so that you can pick whatever it is you want to do. Each one of these has some sort of component that costs Photo Finale money. So we pay for every text, we pay for every Imagery edit, we pay this and that. We don't pay a lot of money, but the microtransactions add up. And so we had to find some way to allow people who wanted in to pay for a little bit of money to get that functionality. And that's what the bundles are. Okay. I had a customer come in with the older iPad and couldn't get Upload to Kiosk to come up. Yes, Upload to Kiosk is no longer available. They would need to use the QR code method or the text message if they have iMessage on their iPad. And most iPads would have some sort of iMessage built in. The kiosk reads Heat files, yes, is another question. Another question somebody's asking is, when did you say the Create USB and CD DVD be released? So that will be released in 1 month. And the advantage of the new system is it won't be just one service like it was in the old kiosk. You're going to be able to have multiple services. So you can have DVD and USB as options at different price points for the customer. So look for the DVD, CD, and scanning functionality all to be out in just under a month. Is there a way to get PF Kiosk to start automatically? Yes, it should be starting automatically. If it's not, it's more than likely a configuration setting issue, and you can either check the wiki or contact our support team, and they'll get that addressed right away for you. It's probably just something went wrong in the install and it missed updating a registry somewhere. If the add-on bundles show up in your dashboard in MyLab, do we have them? Yes, that is a good question, and let me show you what that looks like. So if you go to your dashboard will show you up top your subscriptions. So user enhancement, shipment and delivery, and DIY Studio are all active for this brand. This will also show you your agreements and all the other information about your lab. Okay. Is EasyLink an extra option that we have to pay for to communicate with phones? No, EasyLink is not an extra option. EasyLink is built into our system and is built into our website as well. The text messaging portion of EasyLink is an add-on option for the user bundle. So everybody will have EasyLink and using the QR code, because QR codes don't cost anybody any money. So we don't need to charge you for it. Texting does have micro, transactions associated with it. So there's a small fee to be in the texting bundle. Earlier in the demo, you went to see if there's a checkbox for rush order in our kiosks that's coming with the next update. What is the alternative to loading the express products? I'm sorry, I'm almost if I understand that. Is there? So okay, so rush orders are. I'm sorry. So the basic question is, how do I turn on rush orders? I saw that in the interface. And is that an alternative to express option? It could be, yes. It depends on how you want to run the lab. Rush options are turned on in Lab 50, and when in your order settings, and you can look on our wiki for exactly how to do that. If somebody turns on the rush option, what happens in Lab 50 is you end up showing a rush inside your Lab 50 itself. It'll show rush. Let me see if I have Lab 50 on here. On the order itself, so you'll know, your staff will know to push it to the print queue, top of the print queue. And the question is, does it replace the instant print? That's up to you. If you want to use that for your instant, that's perfectly possible, and you can just send it to the same printers you normally send everything to, or you can use our instant printing features. That's really a choice. But the rush order is turned on in Lab 50. And it'll show up in Lab 50 as designated as such. It also prints on the receipt, a big rush thing. So if you manage off invoices, it'll also print it on the receipt. Okay. So see how they're here on this order? It says rush right there, rush order. It also printed on the discount on the receipt. When in editing mode, there's a red band running across your screen, hiding the top icon. More than likely, we have a CSS or other site issue with you, and we just need to look and see what's going on there. So if you email our support that exact question, they'll address that shortly. We'll take a look at that. So please send that exact question to our support team, and we'll make sure we address that right away. Okay. So is the shipping feature add-on the kiosk or part of the enhanced bundle? You can have shipping on for all of your orders right off the bat at no additional cost. The only time there's a cost for additional shipping options is if you wanted to have the delivery notification and the address verification integration done. So if you want those things done, then yes, there's a fee. Otherwise, there's no fees for shipping being turned on at kiosk or on web. Yeah, so if you have X's on your features instead of checks, somebody's asking, how do I know if I have the bundles? If you don't have a checkbox, but instead you have a, my lab went away. There it is. If you have an X here instead of a checkbox, then that means you have not subscribed to those. So you need to subscribe to them if you'd like to have them. Wow, you guys have lots of questions. Question 64. When changing pricing through MyLab, there's a major drag on returning to products. Maybe the best way to do it is to change your pricing in the pricing tab. This is my favorite way to change pricing. So if you go into MyLab on store management and you click product pricing, this will load your entire catalog. And literally you can change the prices of your entire system in seconds. If you know what you're doing. Also, if you're doing outsourced items, This will show you your cost of goods and your margin calculation for those things. So it takes a second to load your product catalog once you're in here. But once you're in, it's very snappy. As I say that, we wait for the green bar to go. But it'll show up here, and then you can change all your pricing very quickly and simply. Okay, so essentially, if you're in the pricing, product pricing, you just come through here. It'll highlight things that are $0 in red, so you know you need to take a look at it. And you can simply go through and change your pricing as fast as that. When something is outsourced, like it'll be highlighted in green. If it's highlighted in green, it'll tell you the wholesale cost and give your calculated margin. So essentially, I'm selling this barnwood for $99. My cost is $55.42, and my margin is 45%. If I change that to 109, it'll tell me my new margin. So the product pricing tab is your friend. And this product pricing tab works for kiosk and web and mobile now. So just go through here, look at your prices, look at your wholesale costs, find things that are $0 and fix them. You would not believe how many customers accidentally have products at $0. So go ahead and this is a nice little tab, the product pricing tab. So somebody's asking, they're saying they use Labtricity to send images to the printer. Do you have in-house option to view, edit, and send photos to the printer? Yes, we have Lab50, which should be able to submit to most printers out there, especially ones that Labtricity supports. We don't support editing of features within Lab50. It's really a grip it and rip it type of thing. You can turn on a feature called Color Flow, and if you'd like to check out our wiki for Color Flow. And what Color Flow allows you to do is take any order and outsource it to a correction station, correct it, and then send it back for then submission to the printer. Color Flow is a great option for photo books, for example, to make sure you have great quality photo books coming out of your kiosks and websites. So if you haven't looked at Color Flow and you're really into quality, I would check that feature out. The people using Color Flow for photo books make more money. That is for sure. And Color Flow has no cost, by the way. There's no cost to you. So if somebody's asking if customers place a rush order on the kiosk and the products are printed off-site, is there a way to communicate that with the customer? You know, we're always looking at ways to itemize our communications, and we're trying to get better in that regard. Right now, your best option really is in your order fulfillment emails to put any information about that and to put it on your front-end website. Inside the user interface, it doesn't really tell the customer anything, so they need to be notified ahead of an order or post-order so they can make a correction. But we're always looking to get better there, so that will go into our list of things we need to consider for upcoming versions. Again, somebody's mentioning the enhancement package and it won't let customers use Imagery. That is a bug that we're going to be releasing shortly. So it's a known issue and it will be addressed very shortly. So how do you download images through MyLab with their original file name? Through MyLab, you can't get access to the original file name. That is a limit. That data is stored in the database, but not on the image itself. Lab50, on the other hand, does have access to the image, the original file name, and can rename the file to the original file name if you request, especially for image DVDs and USB sticks. It definitely does that for those. It also can do a backprint for certain types of products. So accessing from MyLab, you can't get access to the original file name, but printing through the Lab50 system, you can. Somebody's asking a question about instant printing. Will I be able to send print orders from Lab50 to a DX100? Certainly, of course, you can do that right now. So if you have a kiosk and you have a DX100, the only difference between the old kiosk and the new kiosk today is that you would need a Lab50 in between the two. 1 month from now, you will no longer need a Lab50 between the two. So if you really need instant printing to be up and running right now and you don't mind configuring your system twice, let's go at it. Let's put Lab50 in the way. If you didn't have Lab50 for your DX100, we're going to give it to you for free for that month. and you won't have to pay for it. Ultimately, it will connect directly, and then we'll just take that Lab 50 away, and we'll go directly to that device. So if this month is vital to your success, and granted, none of us can back up from revenue. If you have a chance to make some money, make it. Contact us, and we'll help you set it up. The limitation today is it does require Lab 50 until the next version of the kiosk releases. Somebody's mentioned that they have seen an image unavailable order come through, and this does happen from time to time with our beta set, not our beta, with our current release, and will be addressed in a subsequent release that will be out any day now. I would expect it to be just on Tuesday or so, a new release of the kiosk. You probably, on your end, it'll all be server-based. That's another benefit of the new kiosk, is that it'll work kind of how your Chrome browser works, where we update the kiosk and it will update itself and keep sync with our server. So over time, there'll really be nothing you need to do to maintain your kiosks. It'll really just be all maintained centrally through your MyLab and your Lab 50, and then version-wise up to us. So it'll be a much more fluid system for you all. Can I show single image mode on the kiosk? Of course. Go to the demo mode. By the way, this demo mode, just double click in the top right, get access to the images. It's a great tool for just quickly showing the kiosk to somebody. All right, and we're going to look at my beautiful daughter. And that's how you do single mode. So you just double click in the image, you can look at it, and you can browse through individually. Right? And then you can also rotate the images. You can edit the images. You can do all sorts of things. Okay. When a customer adds text to an image, in Imagery, is there a way for a lab to know the image should have text? As it stands now, we don't know if something has text on it. So basically what somebody's saying is a customer went into Imagery and added text, and then it didn't print on the image. As far as I know, that shouldn't be possible. Imagery doesn't put the text in another layer from the image. It puts it into the image. So as far as Photo Finale is concerned, Lab 50 and your printer, it's one file, so the text should be merged in there. If the customer doesn't see the text on the image they ordered and you don't see it in MyLab, more than likely they didn't hit the save button, or there was an error when they did hit the save button. So I would look for that. If you see a case of that, please report it to our support team. We'll be happy to track it down and see what's going on there. Is there a way to design a calendar or photo book and send it straight to a lab of our choice? Yes, of course. That is what we're designed for. So essentially, if you want to design it in our system, you could then export it to a Lab 50, and then you would get the PDF and you can send it on to whoever you want. If it's one of our fulfillment partners, you could just sign into them. You can add them as a catalog, and it'll go directly from our system. You don't have to touch anything. There's no, it'll be all fully automated and go to them. So if you'd like to do calendars and books, but you don't do them in-house, we have plenty of partners that'll do that, and you can check them out at photofinale.com/marketplace, or you can check out our Prestige catalogs with our sales guy. So certainly we encourage you growing the business. By the way, Prestige products did amazingly in the fourth quarter. We wouldn't believe how much gifting was done in North America this year. It was really an amazing performance by retailers, and the consumers have really resonated with personalized products in the year 2020, and I hope it continues in 2021, and by all intents, we think it will. I just had a customer upload her pictures to her online account so she can work on it at home. Will she find them in her collections? Yes, of course. That's the whole purpose of membership. What they start in the kiosk, they can finish at home. What they start at home, they can finish in the kiosk. You know, a husband and wife could be working on a photo book together through the same account from his work and her work. You can do anything you want. With membership, all those things are saved and moved, and they go between each other. And that's the real value of membership. I can't put enough emphasis on how valuable those stored project and stored images are to people. You don't have any transparency really in how often they're ordered or accessed, but we do, and I can tell you it's very often. Otherwise, we wouldn't be taking all that expense on to store, terabytes and terabytes of images. Definitely, if they upload it at home or at the store, they'll be available wherever they are. The wholesale stuff, do we have a guide on how to set that up? Yeah, if you just go to our website. Let's see. If you go to photofinale.com/marketplace, no retail. Am I typing wrong or something? Let's see, where is retail? Well, anyway, if you go to photofinale.com/marketplace, I don't know where it is. Fulfillment partner, there it is, marketplace. It's partner programs marketplace. There you can find all the catalogs for marketplace partners. You can download their catalogs and their pricing and let us know who you partner with, and we'll turn them on for you. Photo Finale does not take any revenue from the wholesalers. This is purely a relationship between the two of you guys. We do not double dip. You're our customer, they're our partner. Photo Finale does not get involved in your transactions between your partners. That's between you and them. So we hope you find a good partner there, and if you don't, we can recommend some. Somebody's asking, what happens if someone adds text when they go to an order to print and it crops the text off? Is there a way to move the text around? So yes and no. So if it's a creative product and somebody added text and then your printer, for example, has a crop zone, the customer didn't pay attention to it, you can access the project through MyLab at all times. And you can edit that project, re-download it, and reprint it. No problem. If the text is something they added in Imagery and they added to the top of the image and they ordered, for example, an 8x10, but it's a 2:3 aspect ratio and they should have ordered an 8x12, you can go into MyLab, download that file, get the original, and then crop it for them appropriately for that, or download the file and reprint it as in full resolution, another one. That is the advantage of a cloud-connected kiosk. You have access to everything in the back end. All the original files, all the metadata, all the customer information, that's all available at all times to you. You're going to find it becomes very lucrative when dealing with customers and very quick. Okay, that was question 76. I think we've got enough questions answered. Please reach out to your sales guys. I'm going to give Rachel one more minute to submit an emergency question in case you have it. But we appreciate your time. We hope you enjoy the new kiosk. We know it's not ideal right now, and it's going to be getting better over time. And in the long run, we're all going to be making a lot more money in the short term. So thank you for your time, and I really appreciate it. I don't know how many you're still online, but thank you very much.